afternoon. Good afternoon. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Is it working? Yes. Okay. A minute ago it wasn't working. So this is Lindsay. It is Saturday, May 24th, 2025. And I want to talk today about an example of how, when you're a targeted individual, how the media is used to target you and mob you or try to distract you and to shame you. And that, yes, okay, here's another reason why I know that they're doing that. Because people, first of all, if you have been given or been diagnosed and been wrongfully given a diagnosis of something like schizophrenia, which is a very serious, considered to be a very serious, quote-unquote, mental illness, and it only affects like very small, like 2% of the population, supposedly, something like that. It's a very rare condition to be diagnosed with, because a lot of people actually may have symptoms of that, but they're not diagnosed. But if you've ever been formally diagnosed with something like schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder or anything, one of these dark triad things of the DSM, which all fall under the same category. It doesn't matter. It all falls under this category of fucking psychopathy or psychopath, whatever. So anyway, schizophrenia is a pretty rare something to be given, as well as bipolar, which I don't buy into any of that shit. I believe that people adapt, that it's all environmental. Everything in your life, when you get sick, it's because of your environment or the people you're surrounding you with or what your diet is. It's all environmental, and it's not something, because I know that these things can change, and I do not believe, I strongly feel, and I will stay close to what I believe, which I believe for a long time, that I personally do not buy into the whole medication thing. Now, it's real fucked up to be given something like a diagnosis of schizophrenia, because they automatically assume that you need to be under some kind of fucking medication and under constant medical supervision or people stalking you. And that's one reason that they give an excuse to justify for the crimes. Whenever you're a whistleblower, such as myself, and you expose these people for their crimes and their illegal surveillance and whatnot, then they're able to cover up their lies and crimes by giving you, the target, a diagnosis of something called schizophrenia, so that you don't have any validation or credibility whenever these people attack you in public, which is all part of like an ongoing, never-ending smear campaign, like a never-ending investigation. And like I said, I've already talked to hundreds of times about why they're doing this to me, or what it stems from in my personal situation. And so there's really nothing, you can go from one psychiatrist to the next, and once they know that you've already been given some kind of diagnosis, it's going to be the same thing. So I don't trust any of those people. I do not trust them, because all they do is try to push medication. They're medication pushers, basically, psychiatrists are. And I disagree with the diagnosis that I was given by this thing from Social Security, who they sent me to. Apparently it was some kind of schizophrenia. I agree with the trauma and the PTSD and depression, but I do not agree with schizophrenia. A person who is aware is quote-unquote schizophrenia. If you're paranoid, then that means you're schizophrenic according to society, because you don't fit in and you don't conform like other people. Like, you're just different. And so therefore you're schizophrenic, and I do not agree with that, and I sure as hell don't agree with the medications. That stuff is poison, it's toxic. Now, maybe for some people who are actually like locked up in a mental hospital that are really out of control, maybe that works for a while, but I do not believe that any kind of medication, because that shit is very toxic, is going to be the fix-all for something like that. I do not believe in that personally. I believe that, as I've talked about before, that people can change their by exercising, by the other things. Regular exercise helps. A lot of other things that don't have to involve being on some kind of prescription medication. Now, to each his own. If somebody feels comfortable taking their psychiatric prescriptions, okay. Who am I to tell somebody what to do? I'm just speaking from my own opinion, my own experience with this, having been on certain things in the past which did not agree with my physiological body. And that's just me. And you can argue with me about this all day and night, and I'm not going to change my mind because I have the experience to validate myself. So here's an example of the media, how they use the media to target individuals who are quote unquote a threat, whistleblowers, schizophrenic. First of all, they get alarmed. Anytime you're going to in a public place like a gym, since it's a public place, they have to be on alert. And so I suppose what happens is whenever I check into the Gold's Gym, there's some kind of an alert that comes up on the screen letting them know that I'm on some kind of a watch list or some shit like that, because they act very strange sometimes towards me, especially if I haven't been to a certain one in a long time. Like for today, example, I went to the one on Walsham and Highway 78, and I didn't even see hardly any of the same people who I normally do. Some people none of these people look familiar to me except one man when I was on the treadmill. And I went on one that was I went on a different one that I normally would get on just because I noticed that the tread on the one that I normally would get on was all messed up. It just doesn't seem like I was like, no, something told me don't get on that one. Something's gonna malfunction. So I decided to get on a different machine. And I was on there for a while, and then the man who I've noticed him there a lot. I see this man a lot on the week. I would see him a lot on the weekends. Normally, I would notice him with a woman, maybe his wife or whoever, or girlfriend. I don't know, his partner. I didn't see her today, but I saw him. The man's probably he looks like he's probably German. He looks like he's some kind of a military for sure. Some kind of man who's got authority is what he kind of gives that vibe. Like he's kind of like that's what I sense about him. He's maybe he's a judge of some kind. Maybe he's a lawyer of some kind. Maybe he's in the military, a veteran. I don't know, something about him. I feel that he's got some kind of a position of authority, or at least maybe he's retired, but he did at some point. That's just what I feel. I've never talked to the man. I don't even know his name. But he looks like he's probably of Polish or German descent, I would have to say, just from my estimation. Or maybe not, but that's just what I think from looking at him. So he got on the treadmill next to me, and then he was on there for a while. And then when I'm about finished still doing my workout, there's a TV that's on, and there's something about Kim Kardashian, something about thanking the French such and such for some. I don't know what's going on with celebrities. I don't keep up with what's going on in the Kim Kardashian world, quite honestly. I don't know about much. I just know who she is, and I know that she was married to that guy named Kanye West, and I know that he said stuff, or that he was controversial because some of the things he said about Jewish people. You know what? He's got the freedom to say whatever the fuck he wants to say, to each his own. I don't know Kanye. I don't know much about these people. I just know a little bit, enough to know that I don't really want to get, whatever, okay? Celebrities, big, rich celebrities. So there's something about her on TV, and then all of a sudden they had something about, and I don't really know, I don't pay attention to, but I happened to look up for a while and saw that going on. Then there's something about Billy Joel, who's I'm sure people from my generation and younger generations know who he is. Billy Joel, the singer, the piano player, the songwriter, the musician. I used to listen to him, really popular in the 80s. He's a good musician, a very talented musician, singer. So something about they showed a picture of him wearing all black with some kind of a silver amulet. Maybe, I don't think it was a cross, but some kind of something that he was wearing. I'm not sure what it was. But something about how he was diagnosed with something, so he's not going to be, so he canceled his tour. And then all of a sudden they had all this stuff about like some kind of weird, I've never heard of that sickness or medical condition, and about how shaky, loss of balance, no coordination, memory loss. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's like, you know what? I feel in a way like they're and then there's a guy who came in there with a t-shirt that said Scarface, okay, Al Pacino. Everybody knows who Al Pacino is. Everybody's probably seen Scarface, And I feel in a lot of ways like some of these people, it's like they think they're cool. I mean, it's okay. I don't give, Cool, so you like Al Pacino, you like Scarface, whatever. But a lot of the times I get irritated for whatever reason with people who wear these fucking messages on their t-shirts, because a lot of the times I feel like they're targeting me for one reason or another. Just so happens that I've got a bruise on my here on my left side of my eyebrow and a little bit of a scar as well, because something happened several days ago that I don't want to talk about that, but something happened in the kitchen where I believe I've talked to, and this is going to sound crazy as well to people who do not believe in the paranormal and all that shit, because I know people don't, but I do. And I know that this house has somebody in it who fucks with me from time to time in the kitchen. His name is David, the guy. I think either it was David who committed suicide or his partner named Tony. Antonio or Tony, whatever. I don't know. I think it was David, though. Or maybe it was Tony. One of the two committed suicide. I get mixed up. I don't know. I just know that it was David and Tony. Anthony Gomez or something. And David Kaplan. It was his name? Kaplan or something like that. And they were a gay couple. That much I know. I know that much about them. And I just know that one of them, I think it was the guy... It may have been David. Whatever, one of them committed suicide in the front room of my house, of the house that I live in, of my house, okay? And the blood stain is still there on the floor. And I talked about how when I first moved to this house several years ago, I picked up all the energies when I went into that room. And I was lying, for whatever reason, something drew me into that room. And I was lying down on the floor and I went into a deep, deep trance and meditation for like about an hour or maybe longer, and I was just lying there and I was channeling something. And I was channeling his spirit as well as the man who died in that house, that man named Steve, the one who died of a heart attack in that other house that is next door to me on the left-hand side of this house when I'm facing the street. So there's some weird stuff going on. That was immediately when the first day I moved into this house and I was unpacking my stuff and getting things situated. I could feel weird energies, and I did not know at the time that a man had committed suicide in that room. I had no idea. And you know what? Speaking of that, I believe that there should be a law here in Texas. I know that they have laws in California and other places, but they ought to have a law that they have to disclose when somebody committed suicide in a house, because that's considered to be a violent form of death, especially when they shoot themselves with a gun. There ought to be some kind of a law that you're alerting people who are going to move into a house or an apartment or a condominium that somebody died of a violent death, i.e. suicide or whatever, murder. There ought to be a law. I do not know why Texas doesn't have a law about that. That's just messed up. That's really messed. I know I'm almost 100% sure that California does have a law that they have to disclose things when it was a suicide or a murder inside of a home where somebody's about to purchase it or live in it. I know that they have some kind of a something. But here, it's like some kind of non-disclosure something, which doesn't... I quite frankly, if I would have known that, I don't think I would have moved into this house. If I would have known, nobody told me that my cousin had been living here prior to myself. Somebody knew this. So I'm sure my mother knew. As wicked and vindictive as she is, somebody probably knew, and there was a violent suicide in this house, in that room, but they didn't want me to know that. So here I am channeling something that I didn't even know what had happened. But then, of course, I find out what happened by people telling me what happened who live in the neighborhood. But anyway, so with that being said, the other day I was in the kitchen at night. I was opening up the refrigerator to get something, and I don't know what I didn't even open it. It's like it fucking I swear to God, the fucking door opened by itself really hard and hit me in the head right here on the left hand side. It just slammed open really fast. And I didn't do that because I know and first of all, it was the upper freezer part. I did not do that. It did it by itself. I touched the refrigerator, but I didn't open it like that. It opened violently, really fast, and hit me banged me in the head right here in the eye, right above my eye, like right here, and it was bleeding and all that shit. And I put ice on it and all that stuff, but I didn't realize, like, then like the next day and now it's like now there's like a bruise. I didn't even notice that, and it also like bruised all up in here. Like, it really fucking hurt bad. It really like banged this whole area. This is a very sensitive area of your eye. It's a good thing it didn't hit me right in the eye, because it could have really been bad, but it did bang like right here, my outer eye area, and this area above my eye, and my head. My whole head was like, there's a little bit of a knot left, but it still hurts, kind of, because it was like it's like, it could have been a fucking concussion. It was bad. It was a really bad accident, and I did not, like I said, I did not fucking do that. The door did it itself. As crazy as that sounds, this is the truth. I did not open the door, and it's like that. I know that I didn't do that. And that's a new refrigerator. Maybe he's upset that I got a new refrigerator. Who fucking knows? No, because I don't know. Probably no. At that point when he was living here, who knows what appliances were in the kitchen when this David and his partner were living in this house. And I believe that suicide was around probably 2014 or so. I do not know. But I know that my cousin was living in this house from like 2017 or at some point starting in around 2017. I don't remember exactly. But before that, I think she was renting it out as an Airbnb. And there's all this weird, just nonetheless, who knows all the things that have happened in this house. But I do know that the other home that I was living in on Canton Street, there's a lot of weird energy in that house. That house was definitely haunted. Oh my God. I've talked about that, how stuff would fly off the kitchen cabinets just basically fucking flew out of the wall, like dismantled themselves with all the dishes one day. And other things happened in that house. And I know for a fact that was not me. There was some weird demonic possession shit going on in that house. Like it was cursed or something, weird stuff, like shit flying off the walls, stuff flying out of the cupboards. And I've talked about that in my videos. I don't want to go into all the detail about that stuff that happened at the Canton house for the whole time I was living there. There's definitely some spirits, malevolent energy in that house, for sure. That was already there when I got there. So I just had to talk about that. So at the gym today, this one on Highway 78 that I went to, I haven't been there in a while. It's been a while since I've been there. So that with the media, and I felt like they were, it's like, I felt like they were mocking me. You can sometimes tell when you're being monitored. And like I said, in this targeted program, they will go out of their way. It doesn't matter how much when it comes to the government and their spending to fucking harass a person and stalk somebody in a corporate environment or whatever, the money is not a fucking issue. It doesn't matter. If they hate you that much and they want to get rid of you, the money is not an object to these people. I swear to God. And I've been going through this shit for a long time. They're basically trying to get me the message that I shouldn't be, that I don't, fuck what these people think, whoever the fuck is behind that. I will go to the fucking gym if I want to. They're trying to make it look like I need to retire I'm not even getting paid to fucking go there anyway. But this is just blatant discrimination and harassment. And yes, they're targeting me. I was the only one there on the fucking there was nobody else there hardly. When that happened, there was nobody else on the treadmill, on any of them, except myself. So I know they're targeting me. And there are people behind me. I looked behind me, and there are people like on their fucking phones laughing at me, as usual, like doing shit on their fucking military, fucking government people, whatever, these gang stalkers laughing at me. But honestly, I don't care. I've been through so much shit. I'm very resilient. I just get up and fucking go again. I've been through so much already in the past that it's like all these little tactics just kind of like, it affects me for a minute, but then I get over it. What are you supposed to do? What do they want me to do? Go jump around and scream, why are you doing that? And cause a scene? Because that's what they want you to do, is cause a fucking dramatic scene. I don't do that. I know how to compose myself pretty well. Okay, I've learned how to do that over the years of all this shit and psychological abuse, because it is psychological trauma that they're doing, behavior modification bullshit, and using medical COINTELPRO shit. That much I can assure you of. So I've learned to deal with it pretty well. I've learned to trust in myself, trust my instincts, my intuition, and just ignore it. Just ignore it as much as I can. And then they kept having some shit about they kept showing on another TV pictures of the White House, and then some kind of crap about, I don't know if I don't know. And I just found out the other day, I didn't even know this. I don't know who the fuck is in the FBI or who's the head of the FBI anymore, but apparently it's some East Indian man named something Patel. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Donald Trump had appointed an East Indian man to be head of the FBI. And so fine with me. I don't care. I don't have anything against East Indian people at all by any means. But I'm just saying, I don't know I don't keep track of who's who in the government or anything. I don't even vote. But when it comes to when it comes to the fucking FBI, I probably should know these things, considering I'm a targeted individual, perpetrated by the fucking FBI and CIA and the police and whatnot. They're the ones who do this shit. The police, the sheriff's department, the FBI, the fusion centers, in league with all the fucking fire department, all this crap, they're all involved with the community harassment stuff. 100%, you can be assured of that. That they're involved with, if you're a targeted individual. They're the ones who are going to be monitoring you wherever you go, so that's nothing new. What's nothing new under the sun for me either. I've already known that for quite a while. Is it raining outside? No, I have a fan on. I put the fan on, but it almost sounds like it's drizzling outside. But no, it's not. And then I noticed when I was driving down Foster Road to get there, as I exited off the freeway, something about somebody Rose Hill Rodriguez or Hernandez, somebody who's running for something, and it's like the name Rose is so common here in San Antonio, and Hill happens to be my middle name. But it was Rose Hill something, and I saw the banner out in front of, like, near the high school over there off Foster Road as I was coming. It was right not far from that high school. I suppose that's where they vote at that, I suppose there's elections for something coming up. I don't know who she is or what she's running for, but that's in the Kirby Converse area of town. So it's basically another county altogether. It's just a little bit out, because if you're going down Highway 78, just a few miles after you cross a certain street, it's only literally like about 5 miles outside of, or less than 5 miles outside of the San Antonio proper county, or Bexar County. It's literally within only that whole Kirby or Converse, I think it's Kirby County. I don't know what Converse County, I'm not sure what county it is. It's just not Bexar County, but it's only a few miles outside of the Bexar County. So it's not, it's not like it's in a, but it seems like it sometimes. But it's, when I think about it, I almost feel like that drive is shorter than it takes me. Well, it's Saturday, so there's not that much traffic, but it's almost like it's a lot. Even though on the freeway they drive very they're very on the freeway this morning heading east like that on I-10, they're very aggressive. There's a lot of after you get to a certain area. They're very aggressive drivers before you get to like Foster Road and whatnot. There's this whole area. There's a lot of very aggressive, like mostly truck drivers, 18-wheelers that are and other people that are very, very aggressive on the freeway. So it's very accident prone, and I have to be very careful because I seem to be a target for these fucking people that want to cause accidents all the time. So I don't even like getting on the fucking freeway to go east. I prefer to go down 78, quite honestly, to get there and to get back, and at least I don't have to get on the fucking freeway, because that just shit is overwhelming. It's bad enough going west, but going east is even worse in the mornings. When it's on weekdays, it's much fucking worse. Much worse. The way people drive, it's really bad. Really bad. So